G'day everyone, welcome to the video. We are on day 3 of Pepper's first adventure away in the bus. She is going amazingly well, no car sickness, she's super relaxed and we are having a great time. So when we left you at the end of our last video, we were just leaving Linville and we headed up to Banarkin. It wasn't a very long drive, maybe about 15-20 minutes or so. There were some windy sections because we actually had to go up the range, but Pepper was totally fine on the trip. I did give her another little dose of the rescue remedy, and honestly guys, I think that's going to be the answer to all our car sickness issues, because she once again was totally relaxed on the drive up. We didn't have any issues with her being sick at all, which is fantastic. So now we're all set up at this beautiful free camp in Banarkin. There is so much space. There are showers and toilets down the other end. But yeah, it's really peaceful here. It's close to the highway, but not too close that the noise from the traffic is a bother. It's really peaceful here and it's a beautiful spot. We're probably going to be here for a couple of days just doing some walks and exploring around the area, but for the rest of the afternoon we're just going to chill in camp because I think Pepper's a little bit worn out from everything we've been doing in the last couple of days. So we're just going to chill here at camp and then hopefully hit the Brisbane Valley Rail Trail again tomorrow. How do you like my makeshift shade? The one problem with this bushwhacker awning is that it doesn't sort of go down low enough at the front to actually provide much shade on the ground. It's not this, like in summer it does, it gives you shade out the front here, but this time of the year when the sun's a lot lower in the sky, it tends to come in under the awning and it still shades the side of the bus, but not the ground outside. So for today, I've just rigged up a spare sheet that I had and I've pegged it to the guy ropes there. We'll see how long it lasts, but what I might do is get Bushwhacker actually make proper wall panels, so I might actually invest in one of those, and then we can put it on whichever section of the awning we like depending on where we are. But hopefully this will do for the next day or two and give Pepper some shade. Well, good morning everyone. It's a chilly morning here in Banarkin. It was 2 degrees when we got up this morning. It's now only about 8 or 9 degrees I think still, so still pretty chilly. Pepper's just on her bed there, enjoying a little bit of sunshine this morning. Hey Bubby. Apologies for the noise in the background. I think there's going to be some roadworks happening on the street that runs alongside the free camp here in Banarkin today. So it's a little bit noisy. There's excavators and things going back and forth. Not going to bother us because we're actually going to be away from camp for most of the day. Pepper and I are going to do another section of the Brisbane Valley Rail Trail. The section that runs from Banarkin, where we are here, up to the next town, which is Blackbutt. It's only about 5 kilometres each way. So the plan is to walk up to Blackbutt this morning, find somewhere nice in town there, hopefully to have some lunch. It does have a bakery which gets really good reviews, so we could check that out, or there might be a dog-friendly cafe or something there. Who knows? We'll find out when we get there. But we'll check out Blackbutt while we're up there, and then we'll walk back to camp here in Banarkin this afternoon. It's a beautiful day. It's a clear blue sky, lots of sunshine. It's only supposed to get to 19 or 20 degrees here today, so not very hot at all, and perfect weather for walking. So I'm going to finish packing our stuff ready to go, and then we're going to hit the trail. This section of the rail trail is not quite as peaceful as the one we did the other day in Linville. You can tell that it's right next to the highway because you can hear the traffic from the road, and there's also quite a number of properties that are backed right onto the trail. So it certainly doesn't feel as isolated as the section that we did a couple of days ago. It's still a nice walk through the bush here. Pepper's certainly enjoying herself. Lots of things to sniff. That's the main thing. Well guys, we've made it to Blackbutt. So this is the end of the section of rail trail that we're walking today. Took us about an hour and a half to get here. We had a lot of stops for sniffing on the way. It's about 11 o'clock now, so we're just gonna have a bit of a look around town, hopefully find a nice place to have some lunch, and then this afternoon we'll head on back to Benarken. Well guys, we've been back at camp for a little while now this afternoon. I've just been doing some editing. Pepper's been chilling on her bed. Starting to get a little bit chilly again. I'm going to make some dinner and then we'll probably go to bed pretty early. I was a bit disappointed in our trip to Blackbutt today, to be honest. The hike, as I said, wasn't as nice as the one we did a couple of days ago from Linville, just because it was so close to the highway and it really just felt like you were walking through a bit of bush in suburbia. It was nice enough, and I mean, Pepper enjoyed herself, so that's the main thing. The walks are all mainly for her anyway. And then the town of Blackbutt, it's been quite a few years since I've been up this way, and it just didn't feel as big as I remembered it, but you know, memory's a funny thing. There wasn't really a lot for us to do in Blackbutt. There's a little museum there which sadly was closed on the day we were there. There are a couple of little craft shops and galleries that would have been interesting to look at, but they're not dog friendly, and I was hoping to have a nice lunch up there. I thought, being a largish sort of town, there might be somewhere nice where we could have lunch. But again, there really weren't that many options. There was one little kind of takeaway place that allowed dogs to sit on their outside tables, but it was right on the footpath and it was quite busy in town, so there's lots of people coming and going, and it just wasn't the nicest atmosphere. And I knew Pepper would just be trying to sniff and annoy the people going past, so I didn't really want to do that. So we ended up just going to the bakery. And I got a pie there, and we just sat in the local park. Also, I didn't manage to get a lot of footage while we were in town. At one stage I thought we were filming walking around the main street, and I didn't realise until after we got back to camp that I actually must have had the camera in photo mode instead of video, and all I got was like one crappy photo instead of an entire video. I've actually found it quite hard to film while also wrangling a dog. That's something I'm going to have to get good at, because obviously, you know, I'm traveling with Pepper and I don't have anyone else with me that can hold her while I'm filming, so I have to do everything. So yeah, I'm hopefully going to get a bit better at that. Otherwise, you know, if I'm just videoing Pepper's butt walking ahead of me, it's going to be a bit boring for you guys. So yeah, we'll have to add that to our list of things to practice before we hit the road full time. Well, good morning everyone. It's day 5 now of Pepper's first adventure on the road, and we're still in Benarken. I wasn't sure what I was going to do today actually, but I was talking to the guy in the caravan next to me here at the campsite, and he showed me some photos that he'd taken of an historic site that's on a section of the rail trail that goes from Benarken to Linville, so the opposite direction to the one we walked into Blackbutt yesterday. And it looked really cool. There was some metal sculptures there and an old culvert tunnel and things, and he did it on his bike. He wasn't walking, but he said he measured the distance from the campsite to this particular site, and it was 4.2 kilometers. So I thought we'd do that walk today. It means another big walk for Pepper. It's going to be about 8.5 kilometers total. And I'm a bit worried about sort of pushing her too far and wearing her out, because we've done some big walks this week which she's not used to doing. But anyway, she's She seems keen, so we'll give it a go. The only difference with this walk is that unlike the other two that we did, this one is going to involve some hills. So while it's not quite as far as the other walks we've done, it might be a bit more work involved. Hopefully it'll be easy enough though. It's not too warm today. It's actually still pretty chilly this morning, but the sun's out now, so it's going to warm up soon. So hopefully we'll find this historic site and see some interesting stuff. So far it's a beautiful little track. It's actually going through the Benarkan State Forest, so it's a little bit prettier than the trail that we took to Black Butte yesterday. It's also a little bit further off the highway, so it's quieter, and you can hear the birds and the bellbirds and things. As you can see, Pepper's still trotting along out in front, not showing any signs of getting worn out yet. She's actually setting quite a pace this morning. So I think she's enjoying all these walks and getting to smell interesting things and see different sights. Hopefully she's enjoying it. I mean, that's the whole point of this trip, so I think she is. We made it to the historic culvert site. It was actually a fairly easy walk. I'm not sure where the hills were that the guy was talking about. Maybe they're further on down this section. We're probably not going to walk that far. If anything, maybe a slight downhill. I didn't really notice it, so hopefully it won't be too much uphill on the way back. There's just a little rest area here called Fettler's Rest, where the little sculptures and things are, which is a bit interesting. And now we're just going to go up this side track here and see if we can find this old culvert tunnel, which looks pretty cool. Pretty cool. I'm glad we made the trek down to see that this morning. It was definitely worth it. Well, good morning everyone. It's another chilly morning here in Benarkan, 2 degrees this morning. Thank goodness for my diesel heater. We are going to move on from Benarkan today. We're going to keep driving in the direction of Yarraman. have a bit of a look around there, and then we're going to go south to a town called Kuya, where there's another nice looking free camp. So the plan is to camp there tonight, and then tomorrow I want to check out an old railway tunnel that's a short drive from Kuya. So that's where we're headed. Just going to finish having breakfast and packing up the bus, and then we'll be on the road. Well guys, we've arrived in Kuya. Unfortunately, we had an incident on the way. Pepper was sick in the bus. Now, it was probably partly my fault because it was around 8:30 this morning when we left our camp, and that's a little bit earlier than what we normally have been traveling in the last few days. As we've been traveling, we tend to start at around 10 or even a little bit later in the morning, so it was a little bit earlier than what she's been used to previously. And she is on daily medication, which I normally give to her first thing in the morning, in a little piece of chicken. So I'd given her that this morning, thinking it would be fine because it was still like going to be, you know, an hour or two before we left. And because she's been so good with the rescue remedy, I just, you know, got a bit complacent, I guess, and thought she'd be fine. And for most of the way she was fine, but then we got to the section where we had to come down the Kuya range, and so, you know, there was a lot of winding roads, and I was going as slow as I could, but yeah, unfortunately she got sick on the way down, threw up on her bed. Poor girl. So I think there is definitely a genuine motion sickness component there. I'm not convinced it's just pure anxiety, so that's going to be a bit of a challenge for us to deal with on the road. I do have some anti-nausea medication that the vet has given me, which I was reluctant to use, to be honest. One, because it's expensive, and two, I don't want to have to drug her every time we drive the bus. But I may have to, and certainly the next time we drive somewhere I will give her some, because I don't want her to start getting the idea that, like, I don't want her to start associating traveling in the bus with being sick, because we've been working so hard to avoid that up until this point. But anyway, can't be helped, poor girl. So we've parked up in camp. We're staying at the free camp here in Kuya. I'll show you around the camp in a little bit. It's actually really lovely. I've rinsed out her bed sheet as best I could, and I've got it hanging on the fence here. It's very windy, so it's going to dry pretty quickly. We'll just have to wait till I get to somewhere where I've got a bit more access to water to wash it properly, but it'll be fine for now. And she's just resting on her bed. We'll go for a little walk around the camp in a minute to just get her to stretch her legs and just hopefully relax a little bit, and I'll show you around the camp here. So the campsite we're at is called Swinging Bridge Park, and it's just behind the pub in Kuya. Bit of land that runs alongside the creek, and it's a really lovely spot. Again, there is so much space here. There are no facilities here other than a few picnic tables and some rubbish bins, but there are toilets in a little park across the road from the pub that you're welcome to use if you need to. But there really is so much space here. That's our bus, you can see through the trees there. We're parked right up the back. Lovely little spot. In the middle of the park, there's this really cool suspension bridge, and the bridge itself is interesting, but there's also a sign that tells you all about the history of the bridge and its importance to the local community. So definitely worth checking out if you're here. Want to check it out? Yeah? Pepper's not game to come onto the bridge. I don't blame her, because I'm not really keen on heights, and it's definitely moving. But I wanted to check it out, so I'm crossing it without her. Don't look down. There's really not much at all here in Kuya apart from the pub, and there's a community hall, and that's about it. I haven't seen any shops or anything. There's a school here, which is where we're walking at the moment, but yeah, there's not much else here in town. The pub apparently is dog friendly, but unfortunately the kitchen's closed all day Monday, Tuesday, which is when we're here, so that's a bit of a bummer. I was hoping I might be able to get some lunch or dinner or something at the pub, but yeah, that's not going to happen. But that's cool, we got plenty of food in the bus, so we're not going to starve. I'm basically just letting Pepper do her own thing here this afternoon. She's happy just walking around the footpaths. Well, good morning guys. It is chilly here in Kooyar this morning. 1.2 degrees I think it was when we woke up earlier. Pepper usually likes to hang outside on her bed for a while in the mornings to watch the goings on, but it was obviously too cold for her this morning because she's brought herself back on her bed in the bus. And she's cozying up in here. So today I'm hoping to visit the Mantapa Railway Tunnel, which is an old railway tunnel that looks pretty cool. So we're going to check that out. It's about a 15-20 minute drive from here. Now, I'm a little bit worried about how Pepper's going to go after the incident that we had on the way here yesterday. The plan for today is to drive to the tunnel this morning and check that out. And as I said, that's about a 15-20 minute drive. And then after we've been there, I'm hoping to start making our way back to my parents' place. So we're going to be driving back towards Yarraman, which is about a 35-40 minute drive, I think, from the railway tunnel. And it also, of course, means going back up the range where she was sick coming down yesterday. So not really sure how she's going to go. I'm going to try giving her the anti-nausea tablets that the vet gave us, which I haven't tried on her yet because she's been doing so well with just the rescue remedy. We haven't needed anything else. But I am going to try them today. The only challenge I have is there's a couple of challenges. First of all, this particular one takes about an hour to kick in and then only lasts for a couple of hours. So if I give it to her this morning for the first little short trip, it's probably going to be wearing off by the time we do the bigger trip back up the range. And that's where I really wanted to have the dogs on board, because that's going to be the windy road going back up the hill. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try with the rescue remedy again this morning, because it's just a short little drive and hopefully won't be too windy. And then I'll give her the anti-nausea tablets a little bit later this morning, so that hopefully they're kicking in by the time we leave the railway tunnel and head back north. The other challenge with the tablets is she has to have 2 of them, and in order to get the tablets in, I have to feed them in something. I don't want to just be shoving tablets down her throat every time we drive. But of course, if I, feed her a little bit of chicken and then an hour later go for a drive, then we're going to be in the situation that we had yesterday. So I might try just a little bit of peanut butter on the tablets. Let me see you right there. She's trying to get my attention to give her belly rubs. Yeah, I'm not sure if peanut butter is going to be enough. I suspect she's going to spit the tablets out. But anyway, we'll see. We can only just try different things and hopefully find a solution. But yeah, we'll see how we go today. The last thing I want is for her to get sick in the bus again and start to associate driving in the bus with being sick every time, because I think that's part of the issue that we had with the car. And we've been working really hard to avoid that in the bus and trying to make every trip that she does in the bus a positive experience. So it was a bit disheartening to have that episode where she was sick yesterday. But anyway, we'll keep working at it. Alright guys, well, we are all packed up and ready to head off to check out the Mantapa Railway Tunnel. Hopefully Pepper will be alright. I've given her a really good dose of the rescue remedy. She didn't want to get in the bus once she knew we were going, so this is the kind of thing I wanted to avoid, like her being anxious about getting into the bus and travelling. But anyway, hopefully, fingers crossed, we have a good trip there, because what we need now is some trips where she doesn't get sick too, so she doesn't get that association. But anyway, hopefully we'll be good. We're going to head south from Kooyar now, leave the free camp here, and see if we can find this tunnel. Well, we made it, guys. No spews. She definitely wasn't as relaxed as she was at the start of this trip, but yeah, we made it, so that's good. Yay. We are going to go and check out the park now and the tunnel, so probably be here for an hour or so, I think. I'm actually going to give you the anti-nausea tablets while we're here, and then if we're here for an hour or so, hopefully they'll have kicked in by the time we set off again. So yeah, we'll catch you in a little bit. There's quite a large picnic area here at the Muntapa Railway Tunnel site. There's picnic shelters with barbecues, and there's also a basic drop toilet. There's lots of signage that tells you about the history of the railway tunnel and how it was built, as well as some of the history of the local area. So it's worth allowing a little bit of time so that you can read all the information and learn about the history, which is pretty interesting. From the picnic area, there's a couple of little walking trails that lead to each end of the railway tunnel. One trail takes you on a little walking track through the bush that has a gradual descent down into the cutting and along to one end of the tunnel. Although you can access the tunnel at each end, you can't actually walk all the way through it because it's fenced off in the middle to protect a colony of bats which live inside. Keep going. Should have brought a torch, shouldn't we? That would have been the sensible thing to do. The other trail leaves from the opposite end of the picnic area down to the tunnel via a large set of metal stairs. Down you go. Pepper wasn't really sure about these steps at first, and it took a bit of coaxing to get her down, although by the time we turned around to come back up, she'd had it figured out. But if you've got a little dog, you may have to carry them down this section. Alright, well, we're back at the bus. It's so windy out there this morning, and the wind is freezing cold. So anyway, but that was interesting. We've been here for a bit over an hour. It's definitely worth a look if you're in the area. It's not too far off the main highway to come in and have a look. I have given Pepper some of the anti-nausea medication. I tried with a bit of peanut butter, and she licked all the peanut butter and spat the tablets out, which is what I suspected she'd do. And I tried putting one down her throat, and that didn't go well either. So I've resorted to giving them to her in a little piece of chicken. Otherwise, it was just going to be too much of a drama to get them down. So anyway, so that was about an hour and a half ago that she had those, so they should be well and truly working now, hopefully. So we are going to head back, and we're going to start making our way back to my parents' place. I've got a house sit for my parents next week, so I've got to be back there. So we're going to head back that way over the next couple of days. Right now we are going to head back north, back up to Yarraman, and we're going to check out there's a free camp there just outside Yarraman, so we're going to check that out and probably stay there tonight. So fingers crossed the drugs are working and Pepper has a better trip on the way back up than we had on the way down yesterday. We'll see. Well, that was a fail, guys. We are back in Kuya. We're back at the camp where we stayed last night. Pepper just was not happy at all in the bus today. Like, I've given her a few doses of the rescue remedy this morning, and then she had the Maxilon tablets, when we were at the railway tunnel, and they should definitely have been, I gave them plenty of time to start working, and I just don't think they were doing anything. Whether it was because she had the chicken in the stomach as well, I don't know. But she was clearly she didn't want to get back in the bus, and she was just obviously not doing as well as what she had done previously, and I could tell that yeah, she was looking a bit green. So we stopped when we came back through Kuya. We stopped at the little park opposite the pub there, just to let her have a bit of a break and stretch her legs, and all she wanted to do there was eat grass. So I just knew if we kept going, she was going to spew, and then I'd have like spewed up chicken and spewed up grass in the bus, and I just didn't want to have to deal with that. So she clearly wasn't feeling well, so I've decided to come back to the free camp where we were last night, and we're going to stop here another night and try again tomorrow morning. And I'm just going to do it without giving it any food at all. I'm just going to have to poke the tablets down her throat and get her to swallow them, which is not nice, but just so that she's got a totally empty stomach, and see how we go again tomorrow. I mean, we have to make our way back at some stage, so we're just going to have to do it. But I just didn't want to push it today because she was obviously feeling sick, and I don't want to make the experience of traveling in the bus a horrible one for us. So we've come back here to the camp just to have a break for the rest of the day, and we'll try again tomorrow morning. So she's just on her bed again there. She seems a little bit more relaxed since we come back here. I think she recognized the camp actually when we pulled in. It's a horrible windy day today, so she's laying in the sun there, but she's also in the wind, so it's not a very nice day for being outside, is it, puppy? Hey? Oh, Baba. Well, guys, we made it back to Yarraman, and Pepper wasn't sick in the bus, thankfully, but I don't know what's happened, but she has really gone backwards in terms of traveling in the bus. Ever since that episode where she threw up on the way down to Kuya, she's just been super anxious in the bus, not wanting to get back in, let alone, you know, being okay when we're actually traveling. And today on the way, it was only a 20-minute drive up to Yarraman, and at first she was okay, but then the closer we got to town, she started to get quite agitated, and at one point she was just like shaking all over. I've never seen her do that in the bus. So I'm not sure what's happened there, but yeah, it's unfortunate because we've been doing so well, and like at the start of this trip she was amazing, doing really well, and then yeah, she just had that episode where she was sick, and now I think we've sort of gone almost right back to the beginning. The only problem now is we have to get back. Like I can't just, you know, give her like 5-minute trips a day in the bus because we have to get back to my parents' place. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go back to taking it really slow and getting used to traveling in the bus again after this trip, which is really sad because she was doing really well. I gave her the Maxilon tablets this morning, and this time I actually crushed them up and mixed them with a little bit of peanut butter, and she licked that off my fingers. So she got all the tablets in, and we left about almost an hour after that. So again, they should have had a chance to work. I definitely don't think they help at all. And I'm wondering if it's the Maxilon tablets that are making her more agitated as well, because it's only been in the last couple of days that she's been really anxious and agitated, like visibly. So I don't know whether it's a side effect of that or whether it's just a coincidence. I don't know, but I'm going to try not giving them tomorrow when we move on from here, and just try the rescue remedy, although she hates getting that as well. So anyway, the joys of traveling with a carsick dog. We are camped up now in a free camp just outside Yarraman, and it looks nice enough, but it's right next to the highway. But it'll do for tonight. We've just arrived not that long ago, and Pepper's out laying on her bed. I've just given her a licky mat with some peanut butter on it because usually that helps to relax her, and I just wanted to settle down and relax a little bit now that we're parked up. And I'm going to have some lunch, and then after that we might just go for a walk around the free camp here and check it out. Let us sniff around the area. Okay, change of plan, guys. I left the rest area. I don't know, just it wasn't a very nice place. The actual campsite itself was okay, but it was right next to the highway. There was no decent phone reception, and there also wasn't really anywhere nice to walk Pepper. It was basically just that grassed area at the camp. Wiki Camps talked about there being swimming there, like in a creek or something, but the only access that I could see to the creek was fenced off with a sign saying private property, so I'm not sure if that's a thing anymore. But anyway, there wasn't really much to do there, and Pepper, I think, needs to just chill for a bit and do some nice walks and not so much driving in the next couple of days. So I decided to continue down the highway back to Banarkin. It was only like a 15-minute drive, so we just did it, and she wasn't happy. But you know, she wasn't sick, but she was shaking and just not happy. But at least now we are back at the free camp in Banarkin, and we'll stop here for a couple of days, and we can do some nice walks here again on the Brisbane Valley Rail Trail and just let her relax a little bit. It's been all a bit much for her in the last couple of days, and I can just tell she's a lot more reactive today too than what she normally is, like to other dogs and people and stuff. So I think she just needs some time out to relax and chill. So that's what we're going to do, and then hopefully hit the road again in a couple of days time and see how she is. But yeah, it's nice to be back at this camp in Banarkin because it is a lovely spot. You okay now, Bubba? Hey. He's a good girl. Good dog. Well, good morning everyone. It is cold here this morning. It was -3 and there was a definite frost on the ground at the campsite where we were last night. We are back in Linville, so we're slowly making our way back towards Brisbane to my parents' place. Pepper's doing a lot better. I think after my last update, we ended up staying a couple of nights in Banarkin and just spent the day doing some walks on the Brisbane Valley Rail Trail and just relaxing around the campsite. And I think it really did help her to have that downtime to relax, because she's a lot more settled now. Yesterday we drove from Banarkin back to Linville, which is another place we camped at the start of this trip. It was only about a 20-25 minute drive, and she did okay. I mean, right, getting tangled up here. She did okay, not as bad as she had been a couple of days before. I think the Maxilon tablets were actually making her more agitated, so I'm not going to bother with them again. They certainly didn't help at all as far as I could tell. So we're just having a little bit of a walk this morning, and then we're going to head off, and I'm going to try and get all the way back to my parents' place today. It's about an hour and a half drive, I think, all up, but we will break it up in stops. So we'll stop in Esk and also in Fernvale again, where I know there's a couple of really nice parks. I can take her for a good walk and let her stretch her legs. So we'll take it slow. Hopefully she'll be okay. I think she'll be glad to get back to a place that she's familiar with, because it's been a big week for her. But yeah, that's our plan for today. So we're just having a little bit of a stroll along the Brisbane Valley Rail Trail from the Linville camp this morning, and then we'll head back to camp, pack up the bus and hit the road. Well guys, we have come to the end of Pepper's first adventure on the road. We're back at my parents' place. We've actually been back for a few days now. I'm very pleased to say that Pepper was pretty good in the bus on that last day of driving. It was a big day of driving, like it was about an hour and a half total that we did to get from Linville back to where we are here on the outskirts of Brisbane. I wasn't sure how Pepper was going to go on this trip, and I didn't even know if we would make it through one night of camping in a different place, but we actually ended up being on the road for about 10 days, and I was so proud of the way she handled it. She was a lot more relaxed than I expected her to be, especially at the beginning of the trip, and I do think that the rescue remedy was helping. Unfortunately, we did have that incident on day 6 where she was sick coming down the range to Kooyar, and that really rattled her. I think she was a lot more anxious about being in the bus for a few days after that. I did try the Maxilon tablets. I think they were completely useless in terms of controlling nausea, and I do think they actually made her more agitated on those 2 days that I was using them. So I won't bother with those again. A few people have recommended that I try a Thunder shirt to help with her anxiety, so I've actually ordered one of those. We'll be testing that out soon, hopefully. I may need to speak to the vet about some different medication. The problem is I don't want to have to sedate her every time we drive. She definitely did settle down once we parked up in Bunnarken for a few days and didn't drive and just spent the time doing walks and relaxing. That definitely helped. And the driving that we did in the few days after that, she was better. Like, she was a little bit shaky at first, but then each day after that she started to get better. And as I said, on that last day of driving, she was actually pretty good. So I'm confident that if we just get a little bit more practice, if I keep giving her positive experiences in the bus, and hopefully no further incidents where she's sick, then I'm confident that her anxiety will improve and she'll get better at driving in the bus. Fingers crossed that's the case. Aside from that, she coped really well on this trip. I wasn't sure how she'd go camping in and sleeping in unfamiliar places, but she actually seemed to do really well. I think she slept better than I did on some nights. She was super friendly with all the people that we met at the camp. She did bark a few times at other dogs if they walked past our campsite, but otherwise, if dogs were introduced properly, she was totally friendly with them. So again, I'm confident that with a bit more practice, she's going to be totally fine once we hit the road full time. I think she absolutely loved all of the walks that we did, being able to sniff different things and see different things. I think she really enjoyed that. And I get the sense that since we've been back here for a few days, that she's actually getting a bit bored and that our walks around the block here are not as interesting as the ones that we did while we were on the road. So I think that aspect of it she really enjoyed, and I definitely want to take her on more trips. My plan is still to be full-time on the road by October, and over the next few months we are going to be doing a lot more trips in the bus, so day trips and some short overnight trips. Not sure where yet. If you've got any suggestions for great places to go with dogs that are only like a couple of hours drive from Brisbane, let me know in the comments below. Because we need lots of ideas for good trips that I can do to give her really positive experiences in the bus. Overall, I'm really happy with how Pepper did on this trip, and I'm looking forward to doing more trips with her in the future. So I hope you'll stick around on the channel to see what we get up to next.